but don't get stuck on the terms. Just know that these kids are special, and they have traits that we need to help develop, because it helps us. Because we are all part of the same field. You know, whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it universal life force, whatever you want to call it, we are all connected. And there are lots and lots of experiments that have been done for the past 100 years that prove this. You know, there is a universal consciousness, you know, the 100 monkey theory or experiment. That is an example of our universal consciousness. And they've done tons of experiments. There was an experiment done on mice, where they had mice run a maze in England, and then they had mice run a maze in the States. And once the mice figured out the maze in England, the next mice in the States ran it the first time, straight through like they'd always done it. No physical connection. They were, you know, time zones apart, 8 time zones apart, and they still managed to do this. It's because we're all connected. We're all part of this universal field. And these new kids nowadays are tapped into that field. And if you have kids that you think might be special, you think might be indigos or crystals, have fun with them. Be supportive of them. These kids will tell you a lot. They will teach you a lot, but you have to be willing to learn. In my experience, one of the reasons I do this is because my father wasn't quite so open to learning anything from anybody younger. And there's nothing wrong with the guy. I chose him to be my father because I needed that experience. And so, not to demonize him, I don't want to talk bad about my dad, up here in front of everybody. I don't mean it like that, but in the experience with him, I wasn't given what I would consider that support. I wasn't understood the way I felt like I should be. And not because he was wrong or I was wrong or anything, but because he didn't understand. You know, luckily for me, my mother was very supportive of things. And it wasn't until I was turned 29, I learned that I was indigo and got into more metaphysical things that I really got to express, and expand on these things. Up until that point, I just thought I was kind of weird. Everybody's weird. Weird's the new normal. So I mean, if everybody's trying to be normal, like I said earlier, the thing, normal is a setting on a dryer. There's no normal. We're all weird. So growing up with this influence, I was never really heard. I was kind of grew up in that very structured military family of kids are seen and not heard, you do what you're told, this is the way it is. And I tried to question in my younger years. It didn't go so well. So I quit questioning, and I kind of shut down and kind of went inside and withdrew a lot, which a lot of indigos do, a lot of new kids do. They withdraw. And they don't withdraw because they're antisocial. They don't withdraw because they're broken or dumb or have some other issue. They withdraw because it's a protective mechanism. It's so that they will feel more normal. Because society at large doesn't necessarily accept new right away. So, in my experience, I isolated, I tried to fit in. I hated my name growing up because of Friday the 13th. I wanted a new name. Everybody was Jason. And so I tried to be JB, Bo, this guy, that guy, whatever. But this is just me trying to figure out who I was. And I got real good at being a chameleon. I was very good. I could fit into any situation and look like I belonged. But I never felt like I connected. So I went from this situation, that situation, that situation. I got so good at it. And luckily, being an Army brat, we moved every 2 to 4 years. And I got to the point where I was excited about moving because I got to start over again. And I got to be this new person. I was never really a new person. All the same things happened within 6 months, and I was in the same place I was before because I was who I was. But because of my experiences now, because of the blessings of having my mother come take me to a metaphysical fair, which I have to tell you, my first metaphysical fair was a little weird. I went in there, I'm like, who are these people? Why do I like them? What is this about? It was a kindred spirit sort of thing. Like me nowadays, I have a day job. I work, across the highway over here. This is my passion. This is what I'm working so hard to do because you are my people. And we are one. I hope. If not, we'll be 2 to 3 days. So But growing up this way, not being heard, not being supported, and growing with parents who were well-meaning, but they just didn't know what to do. And as all of you parents know, most times you don't know what to do. You may have a child who sees spirits. You may have a child who's psychic. You may have a child who has some other issue or some other talent that you don't know how to deal with. There's no rule book. You don't have to know how to deal with it. You just have to be supportive and just understand. In my experience, I've done all kinds of good, fun things. I've lived in all kinds of different places. I taught snowboarding for a bunch of years in Breckenridge, Colorado, and worked with a bunch of kids. And across the board, every one of the kids that had supportive parents, their parents didn't have to ski, they didn't have to snowboard. All they had to do was support them in what they wanted to do, which was driving the car, allowing them to go places, just giving them that kind of support. Those kids did much, much better. So as parents, as grandparents, as aunts and uncles, as brothers and sisters, as you encounter kids who have these indigo traits, who are special, just be supportive. You know, when I tell you they see a spirit, when I tell you they see grandma or grandpa, when I tell you they were grandma or grandpa, you don't have to believe them, you don't have to understand it, but just be supportive, because unless they're just trying to get your attention, they're probably trying to tell you something. And the most magical things happen when you allow these kids to kind of go open you up. You know, once they get talking age, before they turn 7, ask them questions. Ask them who they were. Ask them what they know. You'll be shocked, surprised, and amazed at the things that kids will tell you. So, moving forward, does anybody have any questions at this point? Just any dying, I gotta ask questions right now. Okay. I want everybody to do something for me real quick. Go ahead and put your feet flat on the floor. Set whatever you got in your hands or in your lap, either in your lap or off to the side. Sorry. I just gotta get connected with you. Yeah, there's somebody everywhere right now. You will close your eyes. Take a deep, slow breath. Just feel your feet on the floor. Feel your butt in the seat. Feel the air moving in and out. Oh, that's much better. You guys feel how that lightened up? Much better. All right, one more deep breath. Nice deep breath. Fill up your lungs, nice and slow. Breathe. You'll find 99.99% of your problems resolved by simply breathing. Okay, come on back. Does anybody have any questions now? Before we move forward. Okay, good. I'm going to get off the indigos a little bit, but realize everything I talk about tonight, whether it's indigos, law of attraction, stages of human growth, whatever, it's all interrelated. Nothing that we talk about, nothing in our world is not interrelated. Yes, sir?
I have a question. What made you jump to what was your breaking point to finally question yourself, and then how did you go about that? I know you said your mom was an instrumental part of that, but
well, I don't think there was a point I don't think I can remember a point where I didn't question myself. That was just part and parcel of my life. I was always questioning why, how come, why don't I fit in, how come people don't see things like I see them, how come I know these things and nobody else knows them, how come I can tell people things without having any physical evidence, without going to school, without having been there. You know, and it's empowering at the same time as it is frustrating and debilitating when you tell somebody something that you just know. You just got the information from spirit, from the source, and you tell them that and they go, how do you know that? I don't know, I just know. And then, well, you can't just know you heard that somewhere or somebody told you that, or you know, the usual explaining it away. So there wasn't really a time where I wasn't questioning myself. It wasn't until I was 29 and went to my metaphysical fair heard about indigos and then read some of these same things I've given you guys today, and I read that description and went,